Link in the Facebook. And then you can share. No. I don't know if it did make it on TV. Maybe we could.
What, 2 weeks?
When I read it, 3 days. One letter. I just opened them up on my phone.
But if you doesn't go to anything where I can email that, so I can
Take up time.
How
How are you? Good, good. Good to see you.
Afternoon, how you doing? Man, I'm hanging in there.
I mean, I could just show them where's it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you're able to.
They're PDFs. The link and then below there's PDFs as well. Of those.
Might become question.
Right to your left.
Or no, just.
Above that, you know, I read lower emails, not too. I figured I would try. But did that go out?
Everyone on board.
Yeah.
Because it's related. Yeah, I think so.
It is related to contract.
McGrath, like 90 seconds.
I'll make sure. Mary, I'll go. Mary, I'll. Oh, no, I was just telling him you'd keep me in line if I would. only a minute late, it's only 6:31, so we're good. I'm gonna call the, call meeting to order. If we could start by rejoining for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Make sure we have quorum. We'll start with roll call on the right. Matt Wallace.
Kevin Willis.
Michael Rill.
Project Design.
Quorum. All right, so on to number 2, recognitions. No.
Yes, we've got several folks here today that we want to recognize. We will start with our staff members of the month. This will be these are the April staff members of the month. We have a group coming in on the next board meeting, May 20th, will be the last group. But we had some outstanding April staff members of the month that we didn't get a chance to recognize. So we will recognize them this evening as a reminder. Staff members of the month are nominated by their peers, by parents, by students. And then we've got a group that will pick the actual winners. And so for elementary this past month was Miss Long. And I don't see that Miss Long is here, so we'll save y'all the time and not read about Miss Long, but Miss Long was our elementary staff member of the month in April. For middle school in April, we had the wonderful Miss Starla Davis. Miss Davis was nominated from a colleague, or a colleague nominated Miss Davis, who said, Starla, Miss Davis, exhibits all the pride tenets that has come to our team, leading and collaborating and planning. We really appreciate her. And for that reason, Ms. Davis was recognized as our staff member of the month. So Ms. Davis and Mr. Riddle, we're going to come up and grab a photo.
How we gonna do that? We can make these shorter.
Yeah, don't worry, you see the Photoshop thing?
Congratulations, Ms. Davis. Being recognized as our April staff member of the month. Moving on to high school for April, Miss Slifer was our April staff member of the month. She too was nominated by a colleague who said, Miss Slifer is tirelessly organized our advisory opportunities this year for our 10th or 12th grade students. She's brought in numerous professionals to speak with our students, giving them a chance to connect with careers they may be interested in. She goes above and beyond for our students and their future. And so for that reason, Ms. Slifer was our April staff member of the month. So Ms. Slifer, Mr. Ball, Mr. Riddle,
Yeah.
I think we should put Dempsey back in there.
Yeah.
All be back in the building together next year.
You got boots on today too.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And there are certificates in there, I think, from Texas Roadhouse, who also recognizes our staff members.
Trying to make sure the corner of that thing is stuck out.
So, I think one of the things, like, a decade from now, someone's cleaning and it falls out.
Yeah, a lot of good gentlemen expires 9 years ago.
And we never told them. So congratulations to you. So moving on to our teachers of the year, I'm going to ask Ms. McCray to come talk about the elementary teacher of the year. And then I know Mr. Riddle has a plaque that we'd like to provide them in a certificate. So Ms. McCray.
Ms. Pack was nominated as our elementary teacher of the year. Where do I start? Ms. Pack wears so many hats outside of just being a classroom teacher. Whether it's she's leading PD, she's always willing to help her team. Anything that I ask for, she's always willing. She's always looking at the bigger picture, not just what's happening in her classroom. So I really appreciate that from Ms. Pack. And just, I know her teammates as well appreciate her. So thank you, Ms. Pack.
So Ms. Pat, Mr. Riddle, Ms. McCray. Yes, please don't be. That was nice you brought it up for the photo. Congratulations. Moving on to our middle school teacher of the year, Dr. Dempsey.
So our middle school teacher of the year is Miss Ginger Flynn. Miss Flynn is a team player. She will do anything that's necessary, but more importantly, she cares about the kids. They love her. She loves them. She enjoys what she does, works hard to make sure the students are where they are, prepared and prepared for the next grade level and beyond. She's just an absolute joy to work with, and we're very, very lucky to have Miss Flynn.
So Ms. Flynn, you've got
Thank you.
And we'll go ahead and call up Mr. Ball for our high school teacher of the year. Sorry, I should give you a warning.
Right. So Miss George was nominated, voted on by her peers as the high school 10th through 12th grade teacher of the year. Miss George teaches science for us over at York Tech, does a phenomenal job. Not only does she come in the morning and provide extra tutoring for students, she stays after school. She also coaches our middle school volleyball team. She has constantly, from the time she has gotten here, looked at the standards, assessed the standards, made sure that the kids were getting what they need, what the state says that they have to have, and adjusting what she needs to for the students. She makes it hands-on, very engaging. The kids absolutely love her. You know, sometime, well, next year you'll be able to go outside here and watch some of the catapults. You know, but you know, she even has stuff. We had to move classrooms because she was. Did you blow up that day?
I just burned some sugar.
Burned some sugar. And, yeah. The kids couldn't stand the smell in there, so we had to kind of relocate. But yeah, like, yeah, it's experiments, it's chemistry. Yeah, it's not bad. So, but we're happy to have Miss George as our high school teacher of the year.
Here's a
I want to do yours like Breaking Bad after, like,
and I'll get the plastic bag.
yeah.
So, just to the board, I appreciate the opportunity to get to recognize our staff. Next month, we will have some additional staff to recognize and some students as well, with some outstanding spring athletes who earned all region and awards and made all region teams. So we're going to bring them next month for y'all. But again, I do appreciate the opportunity to be able to take a few minutes to recognize our staff who do a tremendous job. And this is the point where I'm like, I would love for y'all to stay. Absolutely would love for y'all to stay. But if you are going to sneak out, this is a good time to sneak out.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. You are always welcome to
Yes.
stay. Not fortunately. And we do appreciate, I all speak to the whole board. Everybody has the same sentiment. We appreciate you presenting this recognition for staff and students at this time of the board. Thank you. Public comment? No? All right. Well, then we can move on with no public comment. Somebody signed up. We'll move on to consent agenda. So consent agenda today consists of agenda approval for today's meeting and the minutes for March 25th meeting and the March 8th. All in the board packet. Y'all need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
All in favor? Aye. And Dr. Compton, we'll turn it back over to you for the head of school report.
Yes. I appreciate it. Before I jump in, and I don't have a lot of updates, but I did want to take a moment just to publicly thank our incredible PTO, who definitely went above and beyond last week during Teacher Appreciation Week. From duty-free lunches they provided for our K through, I think elementary staff members, to flower bars, to the thoughtful treats and the journey they took us on. They made all the staff members incredible passports with a weeks filled with activities for you to get your passport stamps and prizes. So we definitely appreciate all the efforts they did to help our teachers feel valued and celebrated. And we're lucky to have such a supportive and active group, parents who are dedicated to our school. And then also just wanted to take a moment to recognize such an incredible admin team that we've got here. Last Wednesday was Principal Appreciation Day, and we're very fortunate to have Ms. McCray, Dr. Dempsey, Ms. Tillman, Mr. Ball. Their dedication and leadership definitely helps keep Riverwalk going and moving forward, and definitely appreciate all that they do. So again, thanks to our PTO, thanks to our outstanding administrators. So a few updates for everyone. So we'll just start with some general updates. Since we've last met, keeping in mind there was spring break in there and a lot of field trips. I think all of our elementary staff decided to hold their field trip funds and make it just a week and a half filled with field trips here. So kindergarten, 2 weeks ago last week went to Black's Beaches, first grade, the Schill Museum. Second grade, made it down to Riverbank Zoo. Third grade, went to the State Museum. Fifth grade did an overnight camp, Camp Cherokee. And so as we kind of headed into spring break and then the week following, definitely a lot of time was spent outside the classroom, and the students thoroughly enjoy and appreciate the opportunity to kind of advance their studies outside. And I will talk about the 8th grade field trip in a moment, but I'll say the 5th graders absolutely, I believe, absolutely loved their time. I enjoyed my night, spending the night with, I think 10 5th graders outside when it was like 41 degrees. Definitely a cold evening, but we all had a blast. We all survived. And I was excited that the 5th grade team actually spent the next day kind of brainstorming on things they're going to do for next year and want to keep up the 5th grade trip as sort of an annual tradition. So that's what's kind of going on in elementary. A lot of things forthcoming. We've got testing that starts next week. We've got field day that happens this week. So definitely a lot of updates we'll have for you for the next meeting for elementary. As for middle school, 8th grade trip to DC was a huge success, and just like the 5th grade trip, I think on the ride home and immediately the days after, the team got together and started brainstorming things for the next year's 8th grade trip. I do think it will become a annual tradition as well. Both trips, 8th and 5th, happened at the same time during the same week, which was awesome. But they had a blast. Like I said, they did 3 days in DC, and I think they could have used another 2 days and could still be there if they could. But no, they had a great time. I think the staff that went, we had some incredible parent chaperones that went, and the students as well. And so I think just some of the excitement coming back from that trip and the 7th graders knowing about it, I think next year's trip will be even bigger. So definitely excited that we got to provide that as well. Some other things that have been happening. So we had a end of the year dance that we held last Friday. During the day, we had 5th grade that came over during the day. 6th and 7th grade ended the day with the dance, and then that evening was a semi-formal for our 8th and 9th graders. Our students that put it together, student council and Beta Club did a fantastic job, and for our first dance over in that building, and the being 5th through 9th, all enjoying it. I think it was a good first opportunity. Excited to see, as we kind of start talking and think about for next year with high school coming back with the 10th, 11th, and 12th, just some of the opportunities and that we'll be able to have for all of our grade levels to kind of enjoy that space. But we had the dance, and then we've got it's kind of and it's going to sneak up on us pretty quickly, all the wrap-up activities after state testing, but we do have the 8th grade promotion ceremony that will be taking place on the 27th. We've also got elementary field day, like I said, this Thursday with 9th grade assisting, and then 6th through 8 will have a field day on Friday of this week as well. So again, just trying to get these big activities taken care of prior to state testing, which starts on Tuesday. So that's it for elementary and middle. Moving on to high school, I appreciate Mr. Ball being here tonight, because Mr. Ball will be leaving first thing in the morning, heading to Orlando with this group, these students here. So we had a numerous number of students who qualified through the state Business Professionals of America competition that was held in Chesterfield. That was Chesterfield. So we had several students either placed top, first, second, or third, which qualifies them to move on to the national competition, which takes place in Orlando. They leave tomorrow. They'll have 3 days of competition, a convention there, and then just all other activities for the students. So kind of wish all of them safe travels and best of luck. They've been pretty successful in years past, so I know the group is excited about going. We have several students we'll talk about here in a second that are graduating from York Tech about a week and a half before their high school graduation. York Tech's graduation will be the following, I think, Tuesday the 13th. We have our annual blue envelopes that we give out to the seniors during the awards breakfast, or senior breakfast. So we're taking, we'll take letters all the way through, but we're trying to put a big last push to get them all by the 19th so we can get them organized. On the Wednesday, we have a board meeting on the 20th. On the 21st, that Wednesday, that morning, we'll have our senior breakfast and a graduation walk. That'll take place in both of our buildings. And then graduation practice that afternoon. And then on the 23rd will be actual graduation over at the Rock Hill Event Center. It's at 6:30. The 22nd, I'm sorry. I got that look from Mr. Riddle, whose internal calendar clearly told me I was wrong. So yeah, graduation ceremony starts at 6:30. It'll be over about 7:45. Students are getting there by 5:30, and then we'll open the doors for family and such by 6, and I'll get y'all an email out to invite y'all to it as well. We'd love to have y'all up on stage helping us celebrate It'll be our largest graduating class to date. I think 31 or 33 with the 2 early graduates. So it'll be our biggest class by double digits. So definitely excited about that. I do want to talk a little bit about kind of next year and that transition back from York Tech. We have thoroughly enjoyed our time there. It was definitely a wonderful relationship. Before I talk about what next year is going to look like, and you'll realize it's not going to look much different than now, but I did want to give a quick update regarding this partnership and this year's senior class and juniors and sophomores. So this year, 75% of our senior class is graduating with at least 1 college credit. And a total of 25 seniors earned credit. 6 of them will graduate with an associate's degree. Another 6 seniors plus 1 junior will graduate with a university study certificate. So for those not familiar, the associate's degree is around 60 hours. The halfway point to that is the university studies, which is a transfer-heavy certificate program that can transfer all their credits to other 4-year institutions. So total of 6 are getting their associates, another 6 have the university studies, plus we have a junior that will also be graduating from York Tech in 2 weeks with his university studies certificate as well. We have 4 students, 3 seniors and 1 junior, who have finished a career readiness certification program in manufacturing fundamentals. So that's one of the career pathways that our students were interested in. So again, 4 who are finishing up rather than being seniors. And then looking back to our current junior class, so our class of 26, so we've got 24 students who've already earned credit, college credit, with several who are already pursuing advanced technical pathways. We've got students on track to earn associate's degrees in automotive technology and machine tool technology, while others are continuing in welding or exploring the lineman program that Tech offers. So, it's interesting kind of sit back and look at each of our senior classes and just the differences. It's the same students, same 18-year-olds, but each group's a little bit different in what their interests are. And so I'm excited. We had our first certificate or career certificate graduates last year. We've got a small handful this year, and then we've got a large group as our junior class that are definitely branching out and exploring different opportunities than previous classes, which I find incredible. It's just great to see so many of our students that are participating in this post-secondary opportunity for them. As for next year, so our partnership with York Tech is going to continue. The big difference is we're just not physically over there. Right now, as a reminder, our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, we've got a full high school staff over there, high school principal, counselor, college career counselor, and then several support staff and core content and a lot of teachers that make up a full school over there. All of them, starting today, are starting to relocate back right now we follow York Tech's calendar, so they wind up, their last day is actually tomorrow. So we've got that group that'll slowly be transitioning back. But as we kind of look at what's going to happen next year, so the partnership's going to remain, like I said, just like it kind of looks now. The only big key change is that, our students aren't going to physically, and I say our students, meaning all of our, right now, all of our students, regardless if they're working on their associates or they're not taking any classes, all physically report to York Tech. Next year and following years, the students will have that opportunity to work on their associates. So if they're working on their associates, not everyone fits this exact mold, but for the most part, once you hit that junior status and sort of decide, you're going to work on your associates, very few of them will actually take a class with the Riverwalk Academy. Again, they take the rest of their classes all through York Tech. So those groups of students will still have that opportunity. They'll just drive themselves over there and work on their associates. We have a second group of students that are working on some of those career programs we talked about. Most of the career programs and kind of looking at what York Tech offers and when they offer and all of that. They do a heavy morning kind of rotation over there. So a lot of the classes, like in welding and such, are in the mornings. So working with next year's calendar, the high school team has developed a calendar that allows for a portion of our students to be offsite at York Tech, we'll be able to run a bus and to be able to take them over there, and they'll, you know, instead of the flexibility of being in like my English class and then walking down the hall to take a welding class and coming back, they'll do a shift there. So like they'll go in the morning, they'll take whatever their program is, and then we'll bring them back midday. So we'll run that shuttle that, like I said, takes a group over that can work on one of the career pathways. They'll come back. We work the schedule in a way that is more, I think, heavier core content in the afternoon than it is in the morning. That way, you know, we've got a group of students that are tech taking their electives. We'll have a group of students with us taking their electives and some other core classes. But when that group of students come back, they take the majority of core classes back with us, their English, their math, their history, their science, because for most of the career pathways, those are not classes that they're taking with tech. So again, we'll just be able to run a shuttle, we'll bring them back, so they'll be able to participate in any of their career pathways. If students need our transportation, like I said, we're gonna run that shuttle in the morning, and then we'll bring them back. There are a few other options out there. And then, you know, we'll work, you know, student by student case. But we've really essentially built next year's calendar, next year's schedule to be able to, you know, prepare for having heavy core content offerings in the afternoon, or excuse me, third and fourth period. So like I said, they'll come back and they'll still have that same opportunity. So again, you know, numbers will look the same. We'll still next year be talking about the number of seniors that are graduating with, you know, their associates, the number of seniors that are graduating with their career pathways. The only difference really is, instead of, you know, starting the day, you know, with tech and then maybe coming over to one of our classes and then leaving our class to go back to a tech class, they'll just have to, you know, we don't have the full catalog because, like I said, we're going to have to kind of put them in shifts, but they'll still have any opportunity that they would have had this past year. So that's pretty much it for high school for next year. Like I said, I think we've got a schedule that's going to work, and we're excited that, like I said, our partnership is going to continue. So that's pretty much it for high school. Any questions about that? And then just a few quick other updates facility wise. One day our grass is going to look like that. I can't wait for them to cut it. Like, you know, right now it's kind of, I guess, getting grounded in there and you know, getting a strong foundation, but I can't wait for the actual cut. I think it's gonna look gorgeous. But anyway, just a quick facilities update. We're, you know, I keep saying this for the past couple of months, we're all but done. They still have to install the sound buffers and the multipurpose room in the front lobby, which is why we're here today and not over there. Because it was kind of loud last meeting once the HVAC kicked in, and I'm still trying to process. Some of y'all asked me questions, and I still for a month have been thinking, like, I don't think I answered this question because in retrospect I couldn't hear. But we've got that going on. Like I said, they've all been ordered. They should be here any week. We still have the Department of Transportation lane expansion project that's happening. So if you come in the back road, you'll see that everything except for that first, 10 feet are paved. Because that last 10 feet is when DOT will take care of when they finish the lane piece of it. There was a little bit of a holdout by a landowner close by that, come to find out, wasn't necessarily holding out, but had another deal through DOT that never got finalized. And so our holdout was making sure DOT actually followed through on the first deal, which had nothing to do with us. This is years ago. And so I think DOT finally got all that straightened out in terms of what is rightfully that landowner's, but has agreed to give up her, 1.5 feet of her yard so they can install the turn lane at the light. And then the second piece that'll be done is the you'll have the median up by Hans Mill, and then also coming south from the lake, there'll be a turn lane into the side of the school. Estimated time for that, they're still looking at probably mid-July at this point. But that is not holding up anything else. That's completely separate, and the OSF members already signed off on it, and they know it's in progress. So that'll be forthcoming. Just some summer punch list ideas or items that, as we've been in there occupied for a couple months now, and, things that, need to be worked on that, just do their natural settling. Minor little things every once in a while, like, over the course of a couple of months, like, there was one of the sprinkler connections in one room that just needed to be tightened up a little bit, and so minor things like that. Like I said, the big thing this summer is just, I think some of the scaffolding work, and then getting the rest of those buffers put up. And then the last thing we have, and you're gonna hear more about this in the next board meeting, but a couple years ago, our GT students in elementary school came together and came up with the idea of a blacktop with basketball goals and a gaga pit and a few other things. And then they had a fun run and raised about $40,000. And then we kind of had to put everything in hold for the moment because we knew something was going to be built and we didn't want to start anything not knowing exactly where building was going to go. And so now that we know where the building's going to go, that project is back up. We do have a student, Dylan Hawkins, who is working towards his Eagle Scout, who's taken on that project and bringing it back to life. He's met with the contractor several times. He's met with that group of students to kind of revitalize it. He will do a presentation for you on the 20th with what the work he's done up to this point, what it's going to look like. And so all that is forthcoming. The asphalt's going to be poured probably within about a week. And then the goals have about a 6-week production timeline. But working with a construction company, they're the ones that have worked with the same graders who have done all of this stuff, will do the asphalt, and they'll also do the basketball goal install for us. And there'll be a few other pieces like a gaga ball pit and some beautification things around it that he and his group will be doing. But like I said, you'll hear more from him later this month. So excited about that. And so that's kind of where we're at. I really am excited to see what happens. I was talking with someone this morning just about what that place is going to look and feel like next year when everyone's back. That was kind of step one, is getting everyone back on campus. I think we've got a little work left to do. Hopefully, gym is in that near future, and I think that's going to be one of the last things that'll kind of really bring everything back together. But I know we're all excited to have all the high school staff together. We've got 2 high school staffs in 2 different locations. We've got students in 2 different locations. So when we start thinking about school spirit, clubs, activities, I think Riverwalk's really going to start taking shape next year. We're excited about that. So that's pretty much it for the updates that I have.
Questions? Thank you, Dr. Cohen. All right, next on the agenda, we have executive session. You would also make a motion to enter executive session. All in favor? Aye.
So Mr. C is going to cut, you'll see it's red, and then he'll cut the video feed as well.
All right.
There's no one on the call except for folks in the room. So.
All right. All right, so I can get Mary Allison to stay. Everybody else can be dismissed. When we need you, we'll call you back in. Thank you.
Make sure it's red.
No, I appreciate it.
That would not be fun.
Everybody gets to see a nice picture of you there.
Yeah, right. I just wanted some screen time. I gotta get my 15 minutes. It's in my agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
Yeah.
All right, so this is something that we're going to bring up the head of school contract. So we're coming up on, I think it was last year when we did actually about this time last year, I think we did the last amendment.
23, is it okay? if I-
Yeah, yeah.
I've got, here's,
Let's just make sure that we take these up when we're done, I guess. That's how I guess we just take these up when we're done.
yeah, these is just a packet of shoes, this, contracts, the first one you'll see is the original contract, and then all of the, I believe all the amendments are behind. So this, they're not all executed, but,
Except for the fourth on the back is the,
that's to be discussed
That's the
tonight,
proposal.
and that has not been discussed with anybody. I was just, got your
Hey, guys, I
email
gotta
right.
Sorry, I gotta mute it real quick. Not just video, but audio. Sorry, stand by. Glad I double checked that.
I do appreciate the diligence. so much. Appreciate it.
Both of your terms are confusing.
Next, yeah, this is,
I was like, what
we're
is
coming
that?
up on, we're coming up on the end of
I was
year.
thinking the same.
We're coming up on the end of year one.
I
of
need one more
2 year.
year.
Well, no, so that's,
Gotcha.
we've been percolating on this for a while, I think, on how we.
I think part of that will probably come into play as far as election. Some type of transfer of knowledge.
Yeah, I think there definitely needs to be thank you, there needs to be some fresh, I think, fresh viewpoints coming in. We need to get more people coming in, but I also want to look at, we've struggled in the past, especially this past year, in finding interest from the community and getting people in those appointed positions that really need to see a focus on that. I do want to see that year of transition so that we can take some of that institutional knowledge that we have from Mike Wallace is actually another who did it for several years that I think roll out short of
I did send an email to someone, like,
Like all three of us.
and then the vacant position. I did send an email today to someone locally who's kind of one of the think tank folks who just to gauge their interest, so.
Are we waiting for some other folks to come in, or we're gonna keep moving? All right, so, unless anybody wants to tell me, any actions from, if you had any actions, executive session, if people want to speak up. All right, so, action items we do have on the agenda, let's dive right in with the school evaluation.
So, this month was financial planning and budgeting, which is just kind of timely based on what's happening in the legislature right now. I've got a copy of this in your packets, but the head of school, essentially the head of school shall not cause or allow financial planning for any fiscal year of the remaining part of the fiscal year to deviate materially from the board's approved budget, risk financial jeopardy, or fail to be delivered from a multi-year plan. So kind of my interpretation of that is that it must ensure that the financial planning, whether it's for a full fiscal year or part of it, sticks closely to the approved budget that was approved by the board, and then must avoid taking any actions that could put the school's finances at a serious risk, and a long-term multi-year financial strategy should guide this level of planning. And so that's kind of what my interpretation is, and so the board would at this point vote, is that interpretation consistent with y'all's?
So give you guys a second to read that over. And then if anybody has a motion on whether they agree or disagree on the head school's interpretation for this month's objective.
Well, yeah, I would say, like what we were kind of talking about earlier about like a planning session, it would be fun, I might not be the right word, but beneficial at the end of the year to look through all these and really ask ourselves the question, now that we've seen this thing operationalized for years, is it fulfilling the need? Is the interpretations all there? And so anyway, it'd be fun to kind of after the fact, kind of reflect on that.
I'll make a motion that we agree with the head of school's interpretation.
All in favor?
So, in your board folder, are some pieces of evidence, kind of based on that interpretation. data that I've, kind of put together. So we do have a board approved budget, and it's balanced and it's meeting our debt service ratio needs. So, there's two sets of numbers in our budget. Number one is, our days cash on hand that the state and authorizer expects us to have. And then there's a debt service ratio that we have to meet as well for our bond. Back in June last year, the board approved the budget. And, looking at what the board approved budget was, and then looking at our monthly, looking at actual, year to date, generally speaking, we're within, where the board wanted. One of the things that are different with our financial planner or financial providers now that are different than in previous years is that, normally we balance a budget without any federal dollars. So, in years past, it was the ESSER dollars that really, made budgeting difficult because you had this state balanced budget outside of these federal dollars and then having to figure out how to, use those dollars. So one of the things that you're noticing now on our dashboards are, the insert of, okay, so, when we receive federal pots, how does that impact the budget? And I know that historically, our budgets in the past haven't had that piece included. After federal dollars are received by the school, then now those are included in the dashboard, which kind of makes understanding our financial picture a little easier than it used to be. So anyway, so we do have an approved budget, absence of federal dollars. Federal dollars obviously offset some of that. Each month, the board just provided a budget over actual expenses, and it shows our spending within the approved budget, remaining expenses. We also have a reserve policy adherence, so we exceed the amount of days cash on hand, and that's reported to you monthly. And then also the debt service ratio that we're required to maintain, which is a 1.1. And I think we're, at about 1.7 right now, or 1.17. So we definitely exceed where we have to be for bond purposes. If you look at I referenced specifically just the last audit, and that's in the folder for you as well. But the last 3 audits have been clean with no deficits or any deficiencies noted. And then when we went through the last bonding process, we built a 5-year, 5 and 10-year model based solely on really enrollment and FTEs and salaries. And so far, we're within what we projected when we started the bond process 2 years ago. We're still within the scope of that. So when we look at like next year's budget, our next year's budget's built off 795 students. I think for the bond, we said 800, but we're within that 10% variance of where we think we'd be. And I'd rather have a budget balanced off of conservative enrollment than a balanced budget based on, an enrollment target that's not realistic. And so, like I said, the last 3 years, we've operated cleanly within, where we said we'd be. And then when the district does its audits of us as well, we've got a little bit of a variance that they look at in terms of projected enrollment versus actual enrollment, and we've never fell outside of that scope. So again, in terms of, making sure that we've got not only forecasting done correctly, but a budget that we're adhering to, it's an area that I think we've been very decent with. And, I think like I said, it was difficult during those post-COVID years because of the separate pot of federal dollars, but now that those are gone, I think budget management it's a lot more easier now than it was. But all those documents are in y'all's folder, and based on that interpretation and what I mentioned above, I feel that I'm in compliance with those expectations.
I think board members either agree or disagree that is in compliance with the expectations of the federal or the financial plan and budgeting, as set forth in interpretation.
I think the motion to agree that the head of school is in compliance with the expectations of the financial plan.
Well, yes, but she also knew all the words. I was gonna stop at motion to agree.
Becky, second.
Any need for discussion? All right, so, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. I am going to try to make a mental note, maybe I should script it for myself, that when we do these, I should make sure that we don't have any more discussion on this. This is one of those places where I can-
Next item is the 25-26 operation budget for first reading. As a reminder, we go through 2 readings. So we are about a month ahead of schedule of our previous years, which is exciting. And excited to think that we will end May with an actual state-approved budget and hopefully a school-approved budget as well. And so what I've put in those packets is the first reading of the budget. A couple things just to point out. So this year's budget was built off 750 students. Next year's budget, we are projecting at 795. I think the number will actually be a hair higher than that. I think one of the things that we'll see is some growth in the upper grades, just now that we're all back together. It gives us more options for classes that we historically haven't had, so it's been hard to transfer into Riverwalk as a upperclassman. If you didn't follow a typical path, then, you know, where you would normally see classes fall, it made it difficult, you know, because we're small, so we only have so many sections of classes, but I think we're going to see some additional growth now with the upper class this year, or this upcoming school year. But enrollment wise, so when you look at it, just a few high level notes to put out. So student count, like I said, is based on 795 students. Currently it's at 750. Salaries for the projected budget are right at 51%. Currently they're sitting right at 50%. So just a 1% increase there. We had some things that are taken out of our budget that we historically have had for the past like decade almost, like rent for the modular building, things like that are now out, which is nice. Even though York Tech was very nice with us, I think, on their leasing space to us, that's no longer part of a budget. But there's some revenue that we're also going to be missing this upcoming year because of the bond. We were able to very much enjoy the interest earned off of that. But now that the money is being spent down, the projected interest earned off of that is a lot less. So while we have less expenses in some areas, some of our revenue will be down as well. But when it's all said and done, we built our last year budget off of $9.4 million. Our current budget right now is state-only funds are right at $9.98 million. Again, that's based off 795 students. Expenses for this current year that we're in, we built a budget off $9.2 million. And that's all aspects of our budget, our expenses. This upcoming year, we're projecting right about $9.8 million. At the end of the year surplus, we were projected, and this is not meaning, you know, at the end of the year, we're projected to have right about $200,000 of surplus. That does not mean $200,000 only. I mean, we still have the days cash on hand and things like that. That was just off of this year's operating budget. We had about $200,000 that we were anticipating not to spend. This upcoming year, right now, it's about $1.5 or $150,000 in the projected budget. And so, you know, those are kind of the pieces that we put in. A few things just to also keep in mind. And again, right now, the state does not have a balanced budget. It doesn't have a state approved budget. So right now, everything is still based off of estimates, estimated base student cost. I wrote this number down and I forgot to actually write it on my notes here. Current base student cost is right at $4,168. They're advising, right now the state's advising us to build off of $4,300. So that's about where our estimated base student cost is coming from. There's a chance the state budget gets done tomorrow. There's a chance it doesn't, it has to go to conference committee. I'd like to think by the time we all get back together on May 20th, we'll have an actual state balanced budget. At that point, we'll know exactly what the numbers are going to be and not off of an estimate. Obviously, there was a little bit of a charter school budget scare over the past couple days. We'll know tomorrow, if anything further passes, and if it does, what that impact will have. But as of the budget we have for y'all right now, it's based off the latest estimate, and it keeps our debt service ratio where we want it. It's close, but again, we're going to kind of wait to see what happens over the next 2 weeks, so we'll know exactly what the budget's going to be instead of a estimated budget that we've given.
Anybody have any comments on the first reading of the budget? Anybody have a motion on approving the first reading?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the budget.
Thank you. Second motion. Any further discussion, question? All in favor? Aye.
And I will, for when we come back for second reading, obviously, if the state budget is passed, I will make sure that we've got everything updated to reflect what the actual numbers are going to be. We'll just remind everybody, a couple years ago, the state changed its funding formula for schools. It used to be pretty easy to figure out. The state would say the base student cost is X, and then we would just multiply it out. But remember, the state formula is different than it used to be. All the money gets put in a big state hat, and then they divide it out. And so even if the state budget gets passed tomorrow, we'll know what the trickle down would, we'll know what still to estimate off of, but it's kind of when the dust settles in July, early October, August, that we actually get to know what the allocation is. But even with that, we'll make sure that we have a cover sheet over for y'all that explains, just some of the specifics that you might find in there. But as things transpire over the next couple of weeks in terms of the budget, I will definitely keep it updated. And then the last piece for y'all is the policy updates, and this would be for second reading. So this is a super quick reminder. When the president took office, he passed some executive orders, and some of those orders changed, had a trickle down effect of changing some of the wording of previously passed policies that previous presidents had. So, we updated our policies during the last administration based on things that, that federal administration had. This administration has changed some of that. And so there were two areas that this caused an impact, and it was under our student equal educational opportunity policy and then our equal employment policy. And then essentially there was just some minor changes. The policy still stays intact, just some minor changing to what they would have called either protected classes, like gender, national origin, things like that, things that you can't discriminate under. I think there were just some minor cleaning up of two of those areas that we found, like I said, specifically under the student equal educational opportunity and then the employment opportunities. What you've got in your packet is, and I would say red line, but I realized I printed it in black and white for you. So you have a blackout version of where a word was replaced, and then the lighter color text is what the wording would be. Starting with the equal educational opportunity, that second paragraph is stricken, and it's replaced with that paragraph that you see below it in that lighter color.
Will we go through these one at a time then? One at a time?
Sure.
Does anybody have any?
Try to package it up if you want.
We can go one at a time. Does anybody have any questions on the changes to the equal education opportunities policy? Second reading.
And I'll say Mary Ellison's got a copy of it as well, so if y'all have questions, I will.
So this is driven by the executive order, correct?
You can correct me if I get this wrong, but I believe this is really just a reversion to policy as opposed to 4 years ago.
Yes. So 4 years ago, there were some changes, I think through the Office of Civil Rights and what they deemed as protected classes. And then this reversed some of the language from 4 years ago back to previous language. And the whole and I'm just, just for the public's benefit here, in a nutshell, when the president issued those executive orders, I think the reason why we're having to discuss it, and it's not just a Riverwalk discussion, it's every school district in the country is probably having or have had similar discussions. Every independent charter schools probably had similar discussions as well. So when the executive orders came out, along with that came a warning that essentially ties potential federal funding to, if a entity, if a government, an agency, a school district doesn't comply, then federal funding could come into question. So really, this was just to apply with the executive orders and the language, so our federal funding is not in jeopardy. There's been no actual concerns or warnings specific to Riverwalk. Some districts in the state have had warnings issued and fund reversed. We have not, nor have we been named, or this is just more of a proactive policy change.
All in favor? Aye. The next one is the equal employment opportunity.
Yeah, so same thing. The meat of the policy hasn't changed. It was just, what defines equal opportunity.
Questions about this? There's a couple of strikeouts replacements. It's not wholesale. Questions, comments, motions? All in favor? Right. And that's all the action items?
That's it. We will get them, the new clean version up on the website. We'll get them up by the end of the week.
Thank you. Last, board chair update, so, picture's getting bigger.
I noticed the undershirt changed today.
Yeah, I went with lighter colors today. I feel like this is like some slapstick comedy where like the person's hat keeps getting bigger and bigger, it's that kind of thing.
Mike, you look good.
Appreciate that. Board election. So we do have 2 elected positions coming open and 2 appointed seats. I do believe that, let me see here, I have, this information somewhere. Let me look it up. I think that,
Ms. Chitwood would be the appointed.
and we have, the other appointment was someone who I think had vacated and we still have to fill that position. So we're really only getting 1 additional, appointed position that we have to fill. And then the second is Ms. Chitwood. And then I believe Mike Wallace and, this is only part of the elected officials that are coming on. So, that being said, you can feel free to put your name back in the hat for re-election. All right.
So the link went out in Sunday's newsletter, tell the families. We'll do probably the board brief tomorrow. We'll make sure that that link is pretty prominent in there as well. So anyone that's interested in the elected positions. I don't know what Zoom's doing.
And I don't know what Zoom's doing either, but I do want to make sure that folks on the call and on the recording can hear this because this is,
Looks like we're still on.
all right. So yeah, like Dr. Compton said, that did go out in the newsletter. There's a link. The filing window is this week. It is up on Friday. I don't know if that's Friday at 5, Friday at midnight. I'm not sure what
I think Friday. I don't think you put a
okay, so
time.
So if any of you night owls at 10 p.m. on Friday realize that you have a deep urge to support the community and give back, please feel free to put your name in the hat. It's, I guess, midnight on Friday. Profiles will be made public then next Monday, and then voting will be next Thursday, open at 8 a.m. and closing next Friday at 4 p.m. And then those certified results will be presented at our next board meeting on May 20th. I will.
Profiles and all that will go out. We will send that as a separate email by itself. So next Monday, an email will go out specifically to everybody saying, here's the profiles, here's the voting instructions, and then the Alliance at 8 a.m. on the 14th will push out the links to everybody. We've already pulled all the info out of our student information system, send it in, so it will, it's already loaded and ready to go once the profiles are.
And anybody, and again, this is open to anybody in the public that can put their name in the hat. So if you have, if you yourself as a, say, a parent listening to this, don't feel like you have the time or resources necessary to commit to a term on the board, put your name in the hat, please feel free to throw under the bus all of your qualified, or put forward the names of, yeah, you're right, it's not kind of bad. Sorry, I use that term too much at work, I apologize. Please feel free to put forward the names of your relatives, your coworkers, other South Carolina residents who may
I was gonna say the only requirement, the one exclusionary requirement is that you have to be a South Carolina resident.
And again, they can, just has to be a resident of South Carolina. If they want to make a drive every month from Charleston where they reside and come to a board meeting, we would be happy to have a resident of Charleston to a resident of South Carolina. But I'm just throwing that out there. If you please put forward your names, send this out to your relatives, your coworkers, anybody you think that might be able to contribute to the continued growth and success of our school. Yeah, and we appreciate that. I don't have anything else beyond board elections for update, other than, again, next meeting in 2 weeks, May 20, we'll do a second reading, final reading of the budget. That's all I have. So if anybody wants to make a motion to adjourn, or we can just stay here if you want to.
I think you motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.